Hello and welcome to The Best Worst, a celebration of the best and the worst of the television we love.
Hi, I'm Meg Bashwiner.
And I'm Joseph Fink.
And we love TV. So we created the show to explore what we all love about popular TV shows by watching both the IMDb viewer best rated and worst rated episodes of a quintessential series.
We're doing this because we like to struggle. We like the effort of it. We like that we set up in the room we usually record in, and the neighboring construction site decided to really go nuts with the nail guns.
I underestimated the amount of nails that would go into an edition.
You wouldn't think that they've been doing nail guns for has to be like the third week.
This is third week, and they're 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pop, 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 pop. Listen, we all have to do construction where we live in a community. They're a family that's trying to stay on the block, and we love them and we appreciate them. I'm just so tired, Joseph.
That's just the nail guns. And then we move inside, and our dog is currently doing the loudest chew toy she can find. So here we are.
That's what Elisa Liu said. The struggle is so important. So it's important to struggle. It's important to try hard. It's important to podcast against all odds.
And so here we are with our podcast about television.
A special thank you to our patrons who allow us to be able to pay an editor to get out as much of this horrible noise as possible. The more nail guns, the more it costs. So
anyway, so each of these shows we watch must have at least 100 episodes to give us a nice broad look at it, unless they don't need 100 episodes, which sometimes they don't. We generally exclude. Really, it comes down to we exclude series finales because almost always, in almost every show you look at, the best episode will be the series finale. And
or sometimes the worst, depending on how bad they fumble that ball.
It's true. It'll be one or the other. And I don't want us to be spending all our time watching series finales until we do our sideshow, in which we watch
premieres and finales.
Just the first and last episodes of popular TV shows.
Yeah.
But until then, we're going to be skipping those.
So we're going to get to today's show. Today's show is Grey's Anatomy, which has run for 22 seasons since 2005 with 462 episodes.
It's a lot of episodes.
It's a lot of episodes. They've been making this TV show for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's still on. And I don't know. I didn't check to see if it was renewed for another season.
I think it's ongoing because I saw when I was Googling it, I saw a thing of like these cast members are leaving at the end of the season.
Yeah, the two actors, they're not coming back that have been with the show for a while.
I mean, at this point, there are only 2 original cast members left. Interestingly, the 2 Black original cast members, which makes me wonder if they were, there's a thing where they have less jobs available otherwise.
I mean, Isaiah Washington was a Black original cast member who left after a few seasons. I think he was asked to leave. Because of
the only 2 that are left are the chief of surgery and what's her name starts with an M.
Dr. Miranda Bailey.
Miranda, that's it.
So yeah, this is the show. I watched the show when it was on. I stopped watching it. I'm trying to think when I stopped watching it. Probably around season 10, maybe. Definitely there's more episodes of Grey's Anatomy that exist than the ones that I have watched, for sure. There's more that I haven't seen than I have seen, but I did watch probably the first 10 of them. My mom's a big fan of the show, so we would watch it together. And I also this is like a comfort show for a lot of people. Sometimes it's a comfort show for me. I haven't watched it within the past 10 years, but I remember on a snow day, being home from work, just watching Grey's all day. And that was a great day.
I have never seen any of Grey's Anatomy. I have memories of it. This is how long it's been running, is I have memories of it playing on the TV at my childhood friend's house in high school. I guess we were in college.
We were in college because this came out in 2005.
Then I have fake memories of that, but it has. I have memories of myself being a lot younger hearing about this show.
Yeah, you were.
And I kind of forget that it's
you were
still
21
running.
years younger.
Oof. I think my only expectation going in, the only thing I know about it is that it is, as far as hospital shows go, very dramatic. That it's maybe over dramatic. I knew about the episode that I think it was the 3rd best episode, so we didn't get to watch it, but the one where the guy has a bomb in his chest.
Yeah.
stuff like that. I knew that like Grey's Anatomy went hard in
There's
that direction.
ferry crashes, there's plane crashes, there's fires. Like the shit goes down at that hospital. And like among those employees, like there's very few survivors of this hospital system. But that's just like, that's compelling TV. And then also because it is so long running, there's a lot of entrances and exits of actors. So in order to get them, writing them off the show, a lot of times they just kill them. Except for in this episode, the worst episode that we're going to talk about.
Yes, which tackles the leaving of 2 cast members, one of whom had left, I think 10 years earlier.
Yeah, Katherine Heigl's character left at the end. But the beginning of season 6,
middle of season 6?
She did not come back from maternity leave, and then Shonda let her out of her contract.
She was in the middle list, which was at the beginning of season 6.
Yeah,
she was not in the season 6 finale, which we watched.
Yes, and who knows if she would have survived it. But
if she just stuck around a little longer, she could have had a very dramatic exit.
But yeah, Katherine Heigl did not return from maternity leave for season 6, I want to say, and then Shonda negotiated her out of her contract for the rest of it.
And then 10 years later, we finally get a follow-up, and it is the worst episode. What is that worst episode?
The worst episode is season 16, episode 16, Leave a Light On. And this is a clip show.
No, but that's the thing. So we don't do clip shows. That's the other rule I forgot to mention. And I did some digging. I would argue this is not a clip show. It is something that no other TV show has ever done for good reason. It's a montage episode.
Yeah, the essence of this, but they're all from past episodes.
No, a lot of it's original material.
Oh, yeah, it is. There is all the
stuff with the kids and him.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like, and even like clip shows do entire scenes, and nothing is longer than like 2 lines because again, it's not doing clips; it's doing a montage.
Yes,
it is a 40-minute long montage.
So this is the premise. Dr. Karev, who's been on the show since, if not the first season, at the beginning of the show, and has had many different like relationships throughout the show, but apparently like his greatest love was with Izzy, played by Katherine Heigl, who left the show sometime in and around season 6. And her plot line was, I guess, that she like fucked off to Kansas to a farm. And so I
think we are learning this for the first time in this episode.
So this episode, the structure of it is Alex sending letters back to everyone who he's worked with, to Meredith, to Dr. Weber, to Dr. Bailey. I'm trying to think to who else he writes a letter to. And so he's sending these letters back being like, and his wife, Jo, the woman who he's fully fucking married to. Yes.
And who he just like, part of the reason this is the worst episode is fans were so annoyed that they had the character just full on abandon his wife.
Like just straight up mail her divorce papers being like, I'm getting back with Izzy because Izzy apparently they had made embryos when Izzy was sick with stage 4 melanoma. So I guess they extracted her eggs before chemotherapy to preserve her fertility. And they made Alex, they were married at the time or engaged at the time. So they made embryos with Alex's genetic material. And then I guess without his knowing, Izzy had twins with those fertilized embryos. So that happened. And then he discovers this. And the twins are 5. So he's like, I'm going to try to make it work with Izzy and these twins because they seem great and I love them. So everyone else, I'm sorry, bye. And that is the episode. There's like a little plot with Dr. Bailey and her husband.
Oh, I don't even remember this.
It's like pretty minor. I'm not entirely sure what it's. I think we would need to see some of the surrounding episodes to understand what it's about. But they are like fighting a little bit.
So, I mean, it's them dealing with 2 different things, which is they lost Izzy, I think, pretty abruptly in season 6. And then the actor who plays Dr. Karev quit, I think. And they did not have him physically after that. So he was willing, I guess, to do voiceover, but they could not get him on set. And so they had to do a goodbye episode in which they could not have the actor.
Yeah, a lot of comings and goings with Grey's, which is to do with the fact that it is a very long running show and it is a grueling schedule. They're 24 episode seasons, and then I think they eventually end up being 18 episode seasons. But still, that's a lot of TV to make for 21 plus years. It's a great gig, but at a certain point, like you're Ellen Pompeo, she was making $20 million a year. Like how much is enough? Like
yeah.
If you want to spend time with your kids, if you want to pursue something else artistically, if you need to care for a family member, like you can. If you have enough money, you can step away from the big thing. And also, you just get tired too, right?
I was going to say, and God bless Grey's Anatomy. I'm not saying that it's not a fun show, but I think once you have enough money, I'm not sure that Grey's Anatomy is like really fulfilling a strong artistic drive as an actor. You know,
I think that there's some really interesting and fun, challenging things to do. There's lots of like ensemble work. The medical acting is really its own specific thing as well. And like the show, they do a lot of walk and talk. They do a lot of medical jargon. So those are things that are like tough and juicy for actors. There's a lot of like soapy stuff, but they are like, they're playing the same character. And yes, the characters are evolving over time, but there's really like, and then, yeah, again, the schedule, like it's like these shooting days are grueling and it's like, you can probably feel a little bit trapped.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I will say off the bat, now we talked about how Dawson's Creek Love Lines was the worst episode we had seen so far. It did not take us long to find a worse one. This
hurt.
This was unwatchable television because it is an hour-long montage, and montages are not meant to be that long. They are not. You're not meant to watch a continuous montage for 40 minutes. It makes it really hard to watch.
Yeah, it's structurally a bad episode of television. I think from like a fan service standpoint, everyone was really mad to see Alex leave under these circumstances, and such a weird send off and a weird, like, very abrupt, like, he had a good thing going with his wife. Like there was like not a ton of cracks there.
She also, I think, was like kind of mentally unstable. She had like just been I think maybe in a mental hospital or mental treatment of some kind. And so people are like, he like abandoned his mentally unstable wife just by letter.
So fans are mad about that. Fans are mad because of the structure doesn't work. And they're also mad because this character who's been with the show forever is leaving under these weird situations to go be with Izzy, who everyone is kind of mad at because of the way that she left. So,
and also because Katherine Hagel has kind of weird vibes in real life.
She does. She has weird vibes in real life. She did win an Emmy for her work on the show. And she was like a go-to girl for a lot of TV and movies that came out during this, like those early 2000s shows and movies. And then she sort of left the business for a little bit and then recently popped up at a animal welfare fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago. So,
yeah. I have this note, which is watching a montage of 16 years of a soap opera that you've never seen it kind of turns it into like experimental art. Like you're just getting these like tiny glimpses of 16 years of a soap opera, trying to like piece together who any of these people are.
I will say it's actually a decent episode to watch for the first time, not to understand what an episode of Grey's Anatomy feels like, but to sort of like catch up and like remember. I was trying to remember like these plot points, and then just doing the research for this episode, looking at the Wikipedia, I'm like, oh my God, so much on this show happened. And like, there's just so many people and moving parts. This show like is the Law and Order of Los Angeles. Like Law and Order is to New York as Grey's Anatomy is to LA. Like most actors, like working, workaday guest star actors have done an episode or two of Grey's. Like it is.
They have a lot of patients they've gone through in, what was it, 462
other
episodes.
Doctors, other nurses, administrators. Like if you know a working actor in LA who's been working for the past 20 years here, they've done an episode of Grey's.
I wonder if Jessica has.
Oh, I wonder.
Yeah.
Well, she's in the Shondaland universe.
She was in Scandal.
Yeah.
It might have come up through there. There's one of the people that receives a letter is it the chief of surgery who's in AA in this episode?
Dr. Weber, who is referred to as the chief, but sometimes holds that position and sometimes does not.
And the ending of the episode is him like doing this long monologue about Dr. Karev and everything that happened to his AA group. And writers love to have their main characters do really long monologues at AA groups. And I feel like, listen, I'm not in a 12-step group. I don't know what the vibe is. Maybe that is common, but it does feel like if I were in that group, I'd be like, God, that guy's talking for fucking forever. Like, fucking wrap it up, dude.
Yeah, the Carmy monologue from The Bear, where he's...
Like, I just you've been going for like 15 minutes, my dude. You gotta wrap this up.
I don't know. We could ask, but maybe. Yeah, but also just like, you're talking for a really long time, my dude. Like a long time.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, it's not about the content. It's the length of time. You're making this meeting entirely about you.
And it's not like a huge story that you're telling. Like it's not your rock bottom. It's not like losing like some of the things that are causing your disease. You're talking about how a guy you used to work with no longer works there.
Yeah.
Like
this episode is basically trying to build a happy ending for two characters when you do not have either actor. which is an interesting artistic challenge that they completely fail at. But it is interesting that they tried, because it would have, I mean, just the obvious thing would have been to do the MASH thing where it's like, Dr. Karev was in a helicopter crash. Whoops, he's dead now. Like, just if you can't bring in the actor, you just he died. Sorry.
Or you do this letter thing, but it is at most 10 minutes of your episode. Right? Like, you do not need a whole episode of this. Like, you want to send him off this way? Fine. Send him off this way. I think that's great. For me, it is the duration of it that is an issue, more than the idea of it.
Yeah, the obvious angle would have been open with a letter to his wife, and then the episode is about his wife dealing with the news.
Yeah, and other things. Maybe there's some patients that they're caring for.
But it's like they spend almost no time on the wife's reaction to being abandoned, because they're spending so much time trying to build this happy ending.
Yeah, like what? Just do the letter thing, and then maybe have a parallel plot that is maybe speaking to this in some way, where something else freaking happens.
I will say I was excited when I was just like kind of glancing at the headlines of the IMDb reviews, mainly to try to figure out if this was a clip show, because it was kind of unclear. And people were talking about like a Lost-style plot twist. And I was like, oh. And so I was kind of excited, because I'm like, there's going to be some sort of stupid plot twist in this one. But I think they were just talking about the fact that Izzy had his kids and that she's like been secretly raising them this whole time, which was kind of, I wanted like some sort of giant stupid plot twist here. Mm. It was unfortunate. My only other note is when they're showing them with the kids, they kind of flash to the Kansas farm where they're raising the kids, and they try to make having kids crawl in bed with you at night look cute, like a fun, cute thing. And we're here to tell you that it is not cute when your parents crawl into bed, or when your kids crawl into bed with you. It is, they are all elbows, they're all knees, they kick you in the head. They hit you in the face.
They demand you fill their water, even though they just keep drinking so much water. Like, stop drinking so much water.
Yeah, they're emptying an entire water bottle overnight and then demanding more at 2 a.m.
And then filling their overnight pull-up with pee, so that you're next to what is just a 40-pound ball of limbs that smells like pee.
Yeah, it smells like you're sleeping in a porta potty.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what that's actually like.
Yeah.
Let's get to who made this, because these are both so juicy. Okay, we're going to start with the director, actually, because the writer is the more juicy one. The director is just an impressive person. You might have heard of this, but the name was vaguely familiar. Do you know Debbie Allen? Okay, Meg is shaking her head silently.
Yawning, so
classic podcast move.
I was yawning.
It's directed by Debbie Allen, a black woman. We love to see a black woman working behind the camera, but there's a lot to say here. She grew up in Texas. Her mother was a poet and an academic. She got her start as an actor. She had her Broadway debut at 20. She eventually got nominated for her performance as Anita. She got nominated for a Tony for her performance as Anita in a revival of West Side Story. She was in the movie Fame in a small role, which then became the central role in the TV series of Fame. She was nominated for 4 Emmys for the TV series. She was also the lead choreographer on both the movie and TV show of Fame. She has been a judge on So You Think You Can Dance since 2007. She joined the Grey's Anatomy cast as an actor in the 8th season and has since appeared as an actor in over 100 episodes. But she started directing in 1984 with a Janet Jackson music video, and has since also done a ton of direction, including 45 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. I left out a ton of stuff. She's had a huge career, and at 76, she is still, the most recent season of Grey's Anatomy, she is still regularly acting and directing in.
Grey's likes to try to encourage their actors to direct episodes. So one of the actors that is leaving, the guy who plays Owen, he has directed a bunch of Greys. And then also the actress who plays Teddy, who's also leaving this year, she's directed a handful of episodes. So they do try to encourage their long-running actors to direct, which I love. I think that's really great to cultivate, especially on a long-running show.
The thing with Debbie Allen is she had directed a ton of TV before Grey's, mm-hmm. So she was coming in as a very qualified TV director, along with being one of the lead, apparently, cast members for starting in season 8. Okay, let's get to the writer.
She's Avery's mom. Okay.
There you go. Mm-hmm. This episode was written by Elizabeth Finch. Elizabeth Finch has a very lengthy Wikipedia page that is mostly under the section titled Controversy. She has a 3-part Peacock series about her called Anatomy of Lies. She got her start as a writer's assistant on True Blood at 30. She worked a few other places and then joined Grey's Anatomy, where she worked for 7 years. So she got hired at Grey's Anatomy because of a piece she wrote in Elle about her experience with chondrosarcoma, a rare bone cancer. They adapted that piece basically into an entire plotline where Debbie Allen's character got chondrosarcoma. I think I'm saying that right. Elizabeth Finch talked constantly while working on the show about her experience with that disease. She also wrote a number of articles for publications about having it, about getting an abortion while having it, about losing a kidney and having to get a knee replacement due to a misdiagnosis. Other things she said is that her brother abused her as a child and then killed himself. She also told everyone in the writer's room that a very, very close friend of hers was killed in the Tree of Life shooting. You've probably caught on by now that literally all of this was lies. All of it, everything she was saying was a lie. She had been using the entire time. She was on the show for 7 years. That entire time she had been using makeup to make herself look sick and using fake hospital visits to extend deadlines and excuse like frequent absences from the writer's room.
Oh my God. Please tell me Shonda produced Anatomy of a Lie.
I don't know. Her wife is the one who turned her into Shondaland. So she at one point ended up in a mental hospital of some kind in Arizona and married one of the nurses there. And then her wife noticed that a lot of the details in her articles was not adding up to what she knew about her life and confronted her, and she admitted that she was lying about all of it. And her wife immediately went to Shondaland and she's like, she's lying to you. So they started Shondaland, and what is it, on ABC?
Yeah.
They started an investigation into her, and she immediately resigned, basically to just stop the investigation so they wouldn't look into her further. She released a statement saying she had lied and that also her brother was alive, hadn't done anything to her, and was living in Florida. Most recently, I was kind of trying to figure out what she's done since. She popped up in 2025 asking for donations for victims of the LA fires to be sent to her personal Venmo. And multiple Grey's Anatomy's writers and producers had to be like, this is a scam artist. Please don't send her any money. So I do kind of want to watch Anatomy of Lies, the 3-part Peacock docuseries about this. So that is who wrote the worst episode of Grey's Anatomy. We really lucked into getting an episode written by this person. So far, the worst episode of television we've watched for the show. Any thoughts on Elizabeth Finch?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
The thing that, like, making up a past, I could see a thing where you wrote this made up article and then Grey's Anatomy is like, we'd like to adapt it. Do you want to be in the writer's room? And that kind of traps you in the lie, whatever. But using makeup for 7 years to make yourself look sick and like make up hospital visits.
And then like also just like add like fuel to the fire. Like there's no reason why you have to drag your brother into this and then kill him off. Like I think, but though she's a perfect person to write for Grey's. It is very soapy.
Yeah. So. Yeah. She invented a soap opera for herself. I mean, she was on it for she wrote for it for 7 years. So she was clearly delivering the soap that they wanted. We're just trying desperately to get our dog to not chew directly into the microphone here. So yeah, there you got it. It was directed by a very, very impressive woman and written by a woman who is also impressive, but in a very different way.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on this, the worst episode?
No, I'm just going to encourage you to do a check to make sure we're still getting recording.
I have been watching this whole time,
Excellent.
baby. All right, let's go to some ads and we'll be back with our intermission. And now it's time for our intermission, which is going to be hard. How was that theme song we didn't hear because they stopped doing it in the 3rd season?
Yeah, I don't associate Grey's Anatomy with having a theme song, so that's just my nostalgia.
I like almost want to go back and see what they're doing, because if you go on YouTube, there's like season 7 credit sequence or whatever, but it's always set to music not from the show. It'll be like some other show's theme song. So I don't, what music is playing there during those credit sequences?
Was there a licensing issue with the streaming?
No, they had, so...
Because it went to, because all Shonda's stuff went to Netflix when she made her Netflix deal.
No, but this wasn't on there. We watched it on Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Because she doesn't own Grey's Anatomy, ABC does.
Yes, but when she did her Netflix deal.
The theme originally was a song called Cozy in the Rocket by a band called PSAP, P-S-A-P-P, however you're supposed to say that. It was a 2-person band out of London. They were hired to write the theme as complete unknowns, presumably because they worked cheap as shit. And then it was only ever used for the first few seasons. And then unclear what happened after that, what they used for music. Like, in my memory, it's just kind of the Lost thing where they just sort of showed the Grey's Anatomy logo. I don't remember a credit sequence. Anyway, the band broke up immediately after making this theme. So a real transient moment in music. Since I didn't hear it, I'm going to assume this is the best piece of music ever made. It gets a 20 out of 10.
I'm going to rule it an incomplete.
Okay. Let's get to that best episode.
Best episode is season 6. Episode 24, Death and All His Friends. And for this one, we did watch episode 23 of season 6 as well, because it is a 2-parter, and that episode is called Sanctuary.
Yeah, this is a real... it's one continuous story, and I'm pretty sure it was shown on the same night. So we kind of just treated both episodes as one big best episode. And I think it works best that way. It would have been really confusing and not nearly as good as a viewer just to try to watch the second half and try to figure out what's going on.
Okay, so summary of this episode. This is
or episodes.
So what's going on here is we sort of open with Meredith with a positive pregnancy test, and that's like all very exciting. And she hasn't told her husband, the chief, who's
her husband,
who's Mick Dreamy, because of that whole thing, and who is the acting chief at the time. Also, there's a man in the hospital who has a gun, but he's being kind of like just walking around being like, hey, where's the chief? What's up with that?
We don't know he has a gun at first. He's just kind of... At first, it seems like it's going to be an episode about her trying to figure out how to tell McDreamy that she's pregnant, and there's this side thing where this kind of confused-looking old man keeps asking everyone where the chief of surgery is, and people keep being like, I'm busy, man, sorry, you gotta ask someone else.
Yeah. And then we have like a guest star from Mandy Moore. Mandy Moore is a patient who is having her scheduled to have her ostomy reversed, but she can't have the surgery that day because her blood work is not good enough. So she sends her husband out for some food. And that's what's going on there. And then it is revealed that this man wandering around the hospital is a shooter.
Yeah, it's revealed in a real... I think if you were watching in order, this would have been an absolutely stunning moment, because it's a person who... She's not a main character, but she has been in it a few times before. She
came on this season as a new character.
So he asks her, and she's like, man, I can't help you, I'm a surgeon. And he pulls out a gun and just shoots her in the head, and it like happens very quickly. And I'm sure, and then Dr. Karev, who we were just talking about, he walks in and the guy turns around and shoots him too, although obviously he survives.
Yes. So it was in episodes that we didn't see, he was the husband of a patient who was removed from life support.
Because she had a DNR.
Yes.
And he tried to stop them, and they were like, you don't get to decide that. Your wife already decided that.
Yes. And so Derek Shepherd was the doctor, and Lexi Gray was also
Meredith's
a doctor
sister,
who was a doctor who worked on this.
She was the one who physically unplugged the machine.
Yes. And then the chief, who's not acting as chief right now,
but he's still just hanging around the hospital. Unclear what his job is.
Is also a target of the shooter. And then they somehow find out that there is a shooter in the hospital. I don't remember how this happened.
Well, he came to just kill those 3 people, but he quickly just becomes a mass shooter. Like, he's walking through lobbies just shooting people. He, I think when I read the trivia, he ultimately shoots 18 people in the course of these 2 episodes.
Yes. And so the hospital goes into lockdown. However, no one seems to understand what that means. And they're getting it via page, but all the doctors who were in surgery can't check their page because they're actively in a patient. And then the other doctors just sort of ignore it and are just walking around.
They're like, what does lockdown even mean? Like, this is 2011. We knew what a mass shooter was.
And so like it's somehow Derek's job to walk around and tell people to like get down.
Yeah, there's a point where Meredith and was it Christina? Is that her name? Christina
Sandro.
Where they're just wandering around, and he's like, what are you doing? It's a lockdown. They're like, well, we're not going outside. And it's like, that's not what a lockdown means, guys.
Yeah. There's a shooter in the hospital. Yeah. So the police have been called and are trying with their SWAT team of 5 people in a 150,000 square foot hospital to try
There's
to
this
find...
amazing point where he won't let in Dr. Weber, who's trying to get back in, the guy who's like the cop who's in charge of the situation. And Dr. Weber's like, you only have a SWAT team of 5 people searching that hospital. And he's just like, that is how it's done. And I'm like,
there's no way that's how it's done.
That is not how
There's
it's
no way
done.
that's... Although, listen, you can call the cops and then they just don't go in and save the kids. So maybe it is how it's done.
Yeah, it actually is true. The fact that they were like belligerent and also not trying very hard
And just leaving
was very realistic.
lots of innocent people in a lockdown situation to die as sitting ducks. Yeah, that checks. So that's what's happening there. And then it is revealed that this man is going after Derek, and Derek and him have a confrontation on the catwalk where Derek's like, please don't shoot me. And like is trying to talk to him about it. And Meredith and Christina are watching from behind a locked door, and they see just like this man has a gun drawn on her husband. It's very intense. And he's like sort of in a conversation with him.
He almost gets him. It's kind of implied that he almost gets him to walk away.
And then Dr. Kempner comes in, who's like has witnessed something and has been having a panic attack about it. And she like comes out she's like, Dr. Shepard. And then she walks out and then she realizes that he has a gun pointed to him. So then the shooter turns the gun on April, and April just like starts talking about her life because she heard on Oprah that if you talk about your life to the shooter, they might be more likely to spare you.
This was, to me, one of the best scenes in the episode. I thought the scene where April was trying to make him see her as a human was both written and acted really, really well.
Yes.
She played both panic, but also someone trying to find any details about her life that might make him see her as human. To me, it was a deeply affecting scene.
Yes. And there's also like, so they're on this big, beautiful catwalk with a glass in the background, and you can see the flags, the American flag just sort of flapping in the background as this like mass shooter man has a gun drawn, and you're like, okay, we get it. We're seeing that this is a commentary about shooting. There's also another scene where he's like talking to Dr. Weber and is like, I bought this gun at a superstore. Did you know you can just buy a gun at a superstore in the aisle next to the milk? Yes, we did know. We all saw Bowling for Columbine.
Anyway, Derek gets shot.
The
second half is all the other surgeons have left to handle other emergencies. And so they managed to get Derek to the OR, but the only one who can operate on him is Christina. And so she just has to do her best on heart surgery, basically.
Yeah, she's a cardiothoracic surgical resident. So she is not a GSW to the chest on the aorta person who should be performing that surgery. It should be an attending. But the attendings were with another patient and who was also a separate gunshot victim. And then they are evacuated from the hospital. But then once they find out why they were evacuated from the hospital, Owen, who's Christina's boyfriend, goes back in.
Other things that are happening, Miranda is with another guy who was brought into the series to die.
Yes, Charles.
And the shooter comes into their room. Miranda manages to convince him she's just a nurse, and so he doesn't shoot her, but he shoots the other guy who... Miranda and Mandy Moore do their best to save his life, but they're just not. Miranda realizes they're just not going to be able to.
Yeah, she's like, if I can get him to an OR, I can do this. But there's just 2 of them, and one of them is a sick woman, and the other one is Dr. Bailey, who's like a sort of short stature person. She's a small person, and Charles is a big dude. So they like drag him to the elevators, and they're like, if I can get him in the elevators, I can get him to an OR, I can operate, I can fix him. But so there's this like really crushing moment where they finally get him to the elevators, and she hits the button, and then she realizes that the elevators have been turned off.
Yeah, the police have shut off the elevators to limit the shooter's movements.
The SWAT team is able to shoot the shooter in the shoulder, and then he just gets away.
Yeah, there's a scene where he
and they are unable to run after him or track him.
He finally finds Lexi, and he's like, I'm here to murder you. And then you hear a gunshot, and you think Lexi has been shot, but actually the SWAT guy came in at exactly the right second and shoots the shooter.
Lexi leaves her lockdown position where she's taking care of Dr. Karev with Dr. Sloan. And she has to leave to get blood. So she leaves to get blood, and that's when she gets caught by the shooter coming back. And
to go back to what's Miranda's last name?
Bailey.
Dr. Bailey's scene. I found this is another one that I found very affecting. Like the scene where she has to admit, I'm not going to be able to save you and you're going to die. And she just has to like sit with him while he does.
Also the scene,
I'm like tearing up just thinking about it.
Also the scene where she is trying to like provide care to him, but she's obviously in shock. And she's telling Mandy Moore's in shock, and she's trying to tell Mandy Moore to not be in shock and help, but she's also in shock and she's crying. And she's like, where is this water coming from? And Mandy Moore's like, Dr. Bailey, you're crying. And just like, okay. And so she has Mandy Moore wipe up her tears so she can sort of like pack this guy's abdominal wound.
There is so much going on in this episode. It's like this machine with a million parts. They're all working. There's like so many different plot lines. We keep bouncing back and forth. There's the kind of the continual tracking the thread of where the shooter is. This episode was written by Shonda Rhimes, and she really shows her like serious skill here in that she takes this really complicated episode and you're never confused about who anyone is or where they are or what's going on. You can kind of follow all of these threads through 2 episodes.
There's also this plotline that we haven't mentioned yet with Callie in Arizona. So Callie and Arizona are doctors who are dating.
Who are on... We also see them in the middle of this episode, and they do appear to just be in an entirely separate show. You never see them interact with the rest of the cast. They're never on the same floor as the rest of the cast. They just seem to be this spin-off show that's happening within Grey's Anatomy.
And they are broken up at this point because Callie wants children and Arizona does not. And this episode sets them both trapped on the pediatric floor. Arizona is a pediatric surgeon. Callie is an orthopedic surgeon, but they end up trapped on the peds floor during the lockdown. And Callie like keeps it kind of calm and like actually does like a proper lockdown. She's like, bring all the kids to this room. We're going to do this. We're going to do all the stable ones that do this, all the ones that did this. And then we will like, they keep it calm and they make a plan. But then one of their patients has a burst appendix who needs surgery like right away, but they're trying to keep her comfortable. And that's when the shooter comes in and Arizona sort of like freaks out and like kind of goes into shock.
Arizona... This is another scene where I'm going to like tear up thinking about it. I cry easily at media. But she like tells him there's children here. And then she like lies on top of the kid, just like repeating there's children. I'm literally tearing up.
No, I'm tearing up. Okay.
This is what happens when you have a kid and you're just like constantly worried about this.
So she's like sort of in shock and she just keeps repeating that. But Callie is like calm and is like, you should just go. Like, you should just, like,
she actually talks him out.
Yeah, this is after he's been shot. And she's like, here are some bandages. You should take them and you should leave. And he does. After he's been shot by the SWAT team and then somehow is able, like a 70-year-old man with a gunshot wound to the shoulder is able to get away from the SWAT team by just walking away. Does someone follow him?
Who's like the entire time kind of confused because he didn't mean...
And he doesn't have like a big scary gun. He has a 9mm. Like it doesn't like... Listen, that's a scare. Every gun's a scary gun.
Yeah, he's not machine gunning.
He does not have a bump stock like AR-15.
He has no like bulletproof vest. He did not... You find out he did not plan to do a mass shooting. He was just there to kill the 3 doctors. And I think when things got out of control, he just started freaking out and shooting people. So he's not... He didn't come in with any sort of plan. He's just kind of wandering around.
The end of it, he ends up with Dr. Weber being like, I only have 1 bullet left. It's either for me or for you. Because I wanted to bring my flask because I thought I would need liquid courage. And like, it's Dr. Weber is an alcoholic. So it's like obviously very loaded for him. And then
I forgot he was an alcoholic. But yeah, that makes sense that he's like very much like, I'm not going to drink that, dude.
But so and he's like, I've had a good life. You can shoot me. Just like, you're either going to shoot me and spend the rest of your life in jail, or you're going to shoot yourself and die and go be with your wife. So like, those are sort of your choices here. And then the SWAT team ends up shooting him, I think.
No, he shoots himself.
Oh, he shoots himself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Weber, a doctor, just talks a man into killing himself.
Yeah.
Is how he handles the situation. There's also, we didn't get into the big, I think, dramatic climax of the episode, which is, what's the ginger's name?
Owen.
So Owen comes back to the OR.
And he's like he was like a doctor in Iraq. So he's like, has combat experience. And so Christina's operating on Derek with Avery and it's like intense, but it's going okay. And Owen comes back. But at the same time, Owen comes back, the shooter comes in the room and is like, stop saving him.
It's like a really good moment where, so Christina's like, you can't be in here because you'll be freaking out. So Meredith's waiting outside. Dr. Owen is like, looks in and you can see on his face that the shooter's in there, but he's like trying not to show Meredith. So he's like, let me see if I can go help. And it's like, he just like walks in towards the shooter.
Yeah. And so they're talking to the shooter.
Christina absolutely refuses to stop operating even with a gun to her head.
And Owen sort of makes a lunge for the shoot. Meredith does a monologue where it's like, shoot. She comes in and she's like, shoot me. You want, to avenge your wife. I'm his wife. You want to you want to avenge Lexi. I'm her sister. You want to avenge Dr. Weber. I'm basically a daughter to him. Like, just shoot me. I'm your, like, just do it. So during that speech, Owen sort of lunges for him. And, but then he gets shot in the shoulder. And during that like kerfuffle, Avery says to the shooter, being like, we're going to stop. We're going to stop what we're doing. And
very quickly he will die.
Very quickly he will die. And you see the monitors go, and you said you see him flatline. And then the shooter leaves because he's flatlined on the table. It just turns out Avery had disconnected the leads, so it looked like he died when he didn't.
Which Meredith doesn't know. Christina and Avery both know what has happened, obviously, but Meredith thinks she's watching him die.
But she does not. But then Christina says, go save Owen, because Owen has like a wound to the shoulder and is unconscious. So they're
both operating on each other's partners.
Yeah. So Kempner and Meredith go repair Owen. And while that's happening, Kempner's like, Meredith, you're bleeding. Did you get shot? Are you in shock? And then she's like, no, I'm having a miscarriage.
Which is the moment that it tipped for me. So you can hear from the fact that I teared up remembering some of the scenes, like this episode absolutely had me. I thought it was a really effective machine. There was some ridiculousness of like in the middle of a mass shooting, people talking about like crushes and arguing about relationships. And I'm like, this feels a little wedged in. But overall, the mechanism of the mass shooter and these people trying to save the victims, I found that all really worked. And then the moment she had a miscarriage, I'm like, this is the Grey's Anatomy I heard about. This is just a bridge too far. And now it's an SNL parody. Like it just tipped into funny for me.
Yeah. The things of like them totally being like blasé about a lockdown and not knowing what to do nowadays feels a little bit more loaded. Because since then, like there's been Sandy Hook, since then there's been Uvalde, there's been Tree of Life, like all of these things, like horrible, like the Vegas shootings.
Do you know that Elizabeth Finch had a good friend?
But like since this episode aired, there's been so many more, and lockdown drills are something that's practiced more. I hope that hospitals have a better lockdown protocol than this.
I think at the time.
I don't know though. I don't know. Also, like surgeons a lot of times don't think things apply to them. So
that's true. Yeah, I mean, this was a big season finale. It's the highest ratings the show has ever gotten. It's the best rated episodes. I can see why. Like this feels like them. I don't know. Working. It's Shonda Rhimes herself being like, this is what the show is like, and really nailing it. Going through my notes, I wrote she's pregnant. Oh, what Dr. was it Kepner?
April Kepner.
Kepner.
Yeah.
She's the one who finds the first victim's body.
Yes.
And she runs into Derek's office to tell him about it. And she does this very TV thing where I'm like, this is not what would happen, where she, like, instead of being like, I found a body, or like not being able to talk because she's so in shock, she instead gives this like lengthy monologue about growing up on a farm and seeing hogs being slaughtered and how much blood they had. And I'm like, this is so this is not what any human being would do. Even in shock, you wouldn't give a lengthy monologue.
You're a surgeon, dude. You're not freaked out by blood.
Yeah.
You know how much blood is in a human body. I could see how you'd be freaked out that one of your friends is shot dead on the floor and no one seems to know or give a shit.
Everything about the mass shooter I thought was really well done. I thought the guy playing him was really good. He played him, I think, the way that a lot of them are, where he's not a serial killer. He's not like a like Joker psychopath. He's just like a guy. He's just like a guy who has a gun and so is going to kill some people. And he plays it in this really understated way that I think makes him way more frightening than if they had gone the route of like this like evil villain seeming guy. The costume design is really smart. They put him in this like brown jacket, which doesn't stand out at first. It doesn't really read like you need to pay attention to this guy. But once you do need to pay attention to this guy, brown just really stands out in a hospital where everything's white or blue. You can instantly see the guy in the brown jacket. I thought both the actor and the design team did a really good job making that guy feel like a threat, but also like a realistic threat. I wrote the scene with the lady trying to make him see her as human was tough. Just a lot of moving parts in this episode. There's some sort of fucking Izzy plot again. All 3 episodes we watched had Izzy shit in it. This is again, like, I don't know. She had already left the show at this point.
Yes, but she did win an Emmy for it.
Okay.
So she was one of the breakouts. Her and I think Sandra Oh are the ones to win Emmys for it. I don't think Ellen Pompeo ever did.
She, in all 3 episodes we watched, she was doing the least of everyone. Both her character just didn't seem to be that active, and her she wasn't bringing a lot to the acting. Even in this episode, everyone else is like doing shit. And there was like at least one scene, I think it was when Owen got shot, where Meredith is just like standing there with her mouth open. And I literally was like saying to the screen, I'm like, you're a doctor. They do doctors. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, Ellen Pompeo, she doesn't feel to me like a strong lead. A lot of this cast felt strong to me, and she did not. We had this discussion.
I think she's good.
I think she's fine.
I don't think she
doesn't feel like enough of an anchor to me.
Yeah, I can hear that.
I think a number of the other actors could have been, Christina, I think, felt more like a main character to me.
Oh, she never got she received 1 Primetime Emmy and 14 nominations.
Ellen Pompeo?
No, Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh, yeah. We had this discussion off mic. A thing I noticed with Grey's Anatomy that I think speaks to some of Shonda Rhimes' intended audience is that the men are prettier than the women, in my opinion. Like, the women are not... The women are all pretty, but they're very, like, real people. They look like real people you'd meet on... If you met a lot of them on the street, you wouldn't be like, holy shit, what is a TV star doing here? Whereas the men are almost uniformly, like, could be on the cover of a magazine. There definitely seem to be... They were casting for acting with the women, and they were very much casting for looks with the men.
Well, when Shonda set out to create this show, she really wanted it to anchor women and women who are like real and complex characters. One of the inspirations for the show, she said, was hearing a story about a surgeon who she couldn't find a good place to put her foot to shave her legs when she was showering at the hospital. So like she really wanted to explore the details and three-dimensionality of these female characters. And Shonda has been a champion for women behind the camera, in front of the camera, writing. Shonda has like really gone out of her way, made it one of her life's mission to open doors for women and specifically women of color to work in entertainment. So big up to Shonda.
It was just a thing I noticed is like there's the McDreamies and the McSteamies, and all the women look like people. They just look like people we might know.
I mean, Mandy Moore.
Yeah, I mean, Mandy Moore was a guest star.
Katherine Heigl's pretty.
Yeah, Katherine Heigl is movie star pretty, but she also left the show. Yeah, I mean, this is not an argument that the women are not attractive on the show. It just felt like the men were very clearly cast for looks and that the women were not so much.
I don't know. Patrick Dempsey can act.
They can, but I think
Owen can act.
I don't know if Patrick Dempsey
think Owen is like listen, I think there was the whole, Dr. Avery's very pretty, but like Karev is not.
No, Karev is just kind of a guy.
Yeah, Owen is just kind of a guy.
Listen,
Dr. Weber is just kind of a guy.
This is just what ran through my head.
Just because of the McDreamy McSteamy situation.
Yeah, it felt like the eye candy. The show wanted eye candy, and the eye candy they chose were men, which speaks to kind of who Shonda was writing this show toward. Speaking of Shonda, she wrote this episode.
Yeah, let's hear about Shonda.
I mean, I didn't write like a lengthy biography because I feel like she's pretty well known. I mean, she's from Chicago. Her mom was a college professor. Her dad was not a professor, but also worked at a university. She went to USC's screenwriting grad program and then worked under a number of like prominent Black movie and TV producers as like assistants and stuff. I think she worked for Denzel Washington's production company. Her first big break is she wrote the movie Crossroads starring Britney Spears. That was kind of her first big job. And then she was hired to write The Princess Diaries 2, the sequel. And then soon after that created Grey's Anatomy. So she was not a big deal when she created Grey's Anatomy, which probably speaks to, like, for instance, that the theme song had to be written by complete unknowns. Like, I don't think she was coming in with a big budget.
It was a mid-season replacement. It premiered in March because it was a mid-season replacement.
But yeah, Grey's Anatomy blew up, gave her a platform to create Shondaland, which has become just a force in television.
Yeah, but there was the spin-offs, Private Practice, which spun off 2 years in to Grey's, which I really enjoyed. Private Practice that ran for like a handful of seasons from 2007.
And then Station 19, which I think only ran for one.
Station 19 was 2018 to 2024.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't know that ran.
But then she created Scandal. She created How to Get Away with Murder.
She has that whole Netflix deal.
Bridgerton.
The Residence.
The Residence. Which I enjoyed The Residence.
We never finished it.
I know, but the episodes I watched, I liked.
We often don't finish. We just kind of
sometimes
lose
we
track.
fall off.
Yeah,
we fall off. We go on vacation, and we forget what we were watching, and then we move on. And the next thing you know, we're watching DTF St. Louis.
You should watch DTF St. Louis. It's good. Yeah. So that's Shondaland.
Or
Shonda Rhimes. She's She came in, obviously not a absolutely unknown quantity. She'd written some movies. She'd been around. She had a master's degree in screenwriting, but came in with Grey's Anatomy and just built an empire for herself on its back. The first part here, Sanctuary, was directed by Stephen Craig, who got his start directing on A Year in the Life, which was a one-season show about a man whose adult kids move back in with him, which just feels like a very popular TV show premise. There just seems to be a lot of those. What if a man did anything with his kids? He's been directing ever since. Looks like mostly dramas. His last work was Chicago Fire in 2023. And then the second part was directed by Rob Korn. His Wikipedia page says, and I quote, "He has produced 61 out of 62 episodes of the medical drama series Grey's Anatomy," which is a confusing thing to say about a show with over 460 episodes. I guess he wrote it himself and then has not updated it in several years. His first listed job on IMDb was as intern on Jaws 3D in the early 80s. Then he did a lot of second unit directing. He was the second unit director on Thriller, the music video. He finally moved to full director on Chicago Hope and has since mostly directed hospital shows. That seems to be kind of his niche. Chicago Hope, Grey's Anatomy. He did one called The Resident. He did another hospital show I'm blanking on. And he's still actively working today. I think he might be still directing Grey's Anatomy today. So there we have it. It's funny. We went from the worst episode of television we have had to watch for the show to a episode that I think was good. I think this was straight up a good episode of television. It fully had me. There were moments that made me tear up. I cared about the people. I thought the threat in the episode was scary. I found like they created that sense of fear and threat very well.
And for being a very special episode, it was not too heavy-handed. There was a few moments.
Oh, it was so heavy-handed, but it was not heavy-handed on the message. You're right.
Yeah.
It was heavy-handed on the emotion in that Grey's Anatomy way of like every emotion is big.
Yes, but I think it.
Yeah.
I like Grey's Anatomy.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Now coming back to Grey's Anatomy. Our dog is coming over with her loud toy again. She wants to cause some problems. Coming back to Grey's Anatomy after all these years. Where are you at with it?
It was nice to go back. It was nice to go back and see some of those episodes that I watched when they were on. I would watch it again. I'd watch some more episodes. I would watch more of this. It's not high on my list of like shows to watch right now because we have other stuff that we're watching, but it's a nice little comfort show here and again. I could see like a rainy little Saturday. If I ever have a rainy little Saturday with nothing to do, I could watch an episode or two of Grey's.
Imagine having a Saturday with nothing to do when you have a child.
Yep.
How great would that be? Yeah, it was a real up and down. The worst episode, I was like, holy shit, this show is bad. But then with this one, definitely I see what it's about. I see where it can do really good things. I would say I would not be interested in like watching this on an ongoing basis. I think just the like back and forth and twist and soap opera turns, I'm just not that interested in that. But I do specifically kind of want to watch the Bomb in the Chest episode. Just after watching this one and then hearing about that one for so long, like I don't want to watch any more of Grey's Anatomy, except for specifically, I do kind of want to watch that one.
I'm pretty sure Kyle Chandler's in that one. I'm pretty sure Coach is in that one.
Is he the one with the bomb in his chest?
Maybe. I don't know.
Ruby just absolutely has to do her loud chewing on top of your microphone. It's part of it for her. Well, let's get out then. Our next show.
Oh, next show we're going to do is Roseanne.
Yeah, we went over a few things that we could do. I was kind of looking at a like Rolling Stone best sitcoms of all time list. We've done a number of them. Roseanne feels interesting both because I feel like it was a highly respected sitcom that then the star disgraced herself in a number of ways and had to be removed from the reboot. So I think there's going to be a lot to talk about.
And it's an ode to the working class.
Yeah.
And in these times, why not?
Why not? It feels like a all in the family of its day. You're now just holding for her to chew next to the thing. Thank you, everyone. Check out our Patreon-only show, The Middleist, where we will be discussing the exact Middleist rated episode to see what the show looks like when everything is exactly average. That episode is Season 6, Episode 4, Tainted Obligation, in which Meredith and Lexi Gray have to deal with their father needing a liver transplant. And we'll see you there.
Bye.